really wouldn't allow for the type of single family. The other issues it certainly would, but the single family really wouldn't be allowed in the C2 zoning. So
You'd be over zoning yourself to be able to do that, to his point, with all commercial. If you did a PRD, that would come in with a map of everything you wanted to do, instead of just having one single zone that you're stuck with. And you can it's up to you, you could resubmit it that way instead of a commercial request to a PRD request, and show your single family as well as your commercial need in one big footprint.
Okay, I'm not too sure about you know more about the PRD. You wanna?
Yeah, and what
He knows a little bit more about zoning than I do.
Yeah, and what the vice chairman's telling you is that if you bring it in C2, that's going to prevent you from having any residential usage. And when we're thinking about a C2 that's before us, we're thinking it's just a 100% commercial usage. In other
Okay.
words, you know, you may have manufacturing, you may have a retail, you may even have a site that has, you know, something for a venue that could take place. But once you introduce the residential component of it, and if that's your vision and that's what you want to do, you're not going to be able to achieve it with this.
Okay,
Mr.
well,
Davis, I think part of, just for your understanding, part of the reason that started this is if we zone this C2 and you end up selling the property, it's already zoned C2. So somebody could come in and do something else with the property in that C2 zoning that isn't necessarily what we would, you know, like with your winery there. So what they're saying about putting all of your plan together as a plan development, that would be really, I think, good for you and for us, in that if that plan doesn't work out, then that's done, right? We don't have the zoning open-ended like that, and so that allows you more flexibility in showing us what your plan would be, and you're not locked into one zone, but it's also not locking us into one zone forever that may not end up being the same use that you have for it now.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak for myself in that I'm not opposed to seeing a winery here. I'm not opposed to having 37 acres of you know, a lot of open space or greenery or something that you would have around, because you would still have your vineyards and your the fields. And I would imagine, again, with a concept that would allow a mix, it would allow for us and you to work together and, you know, create that the area for your vineyards, maybe some retail area, certainly some residential area, and some, you know, green space for the folks that would live here. And I, you know, me personally, I think it's a good fit at that point. Of course, I'd want to see the final plan to make the, you know, a final decision on it, but just on surface, that's my feeling about it.
Okay. All right, so you all would suggest kind of going back to the drawing board, getting the whole fully fleshed out concept together, and then bringing it to you and saying, this is what we'd like to do with the area, and then it'll be just a kind of a special kind of zoning that'll happen just for that site.
Yes.
Just for this plan. That way we don't have to worry about something else in the future popping up there that wouldn't be desirable.
It doesn't leave it open-ended.
Right.
And we get to see exactly what it is that your plan is. You have to bring it in drawn out. That's how we would have to look at it. So there's
Kevin,
some
yeah.
time and energy there, but at least we get to take a look at what your proposal is that way, instead of leaving it just blanketed as a commercial site.
Okay.
Kevin, would you explain to Mr. Davis what you would see, how we could potentially go forward with what we've kind of discussed here?
yeah, I mean, I think the going forward, I think if, based on the discussion, I think probably what would be best is if, of course, it's up to you to make that decision, but I would probably be, a recommendation would be maybe to withdraw this request, come back next month or whenever you can get everything else together. And we would be happy to sit down and talk with you, your father, whoever needs to be involved, to go over that process. It's the same process as far as it comes back here, then it goes to council for 2 readings and all that. But I think you would involve a little bit more work for you on the front end from the standpoint of putting a plan together, you know, which you've obviously have thought about it and got those ideas in mind, but putting it all on paper, putting it in, you know, those drawings that would be, this is the winery portion, this is the area we're going to set aside for some single family of maybe 10 lots or however many lots you got in mind there, your event venues you're talking about, putting all that kind of on paper is what you're wanting to do, where you're planning on putting it, what it might look like, and then coming back to this commission with that request, an annexation request and a PUD zoning request with a mixture of different things on the property.
Okay.
I think that's probably the best route for you to go.
And I would, you might want to consider, getting with an engineering firm to help you draw that out. You can talk to them and let them
Right.
do it. Of course, it's entirely up to you, but, just, I think to achieve what you want to achieve, it's probably the direction you want to go, is to seek out some professionals to help you with it. I think it's a great vision. And again, I think our hesitancy is this, is that if we rezone it C2, you could drop, I guess you could drop an not automotive repair, I'm trying to think of
You
some.
could certainly put a gas station.
Gas station, or, you could put a lot of things in that wouldn't be neighborhood or community friendly versus a winery with a mixed use and some, maybe